Night, as she lay on the streets, shivering and weak, she thought of her village, her family, and Nia. Tears streamed down her face as she whispered, "I'm sorry." Zuri's life faded away that night, her heart heavy with regret. Her pride had led her on a path of destruction, away from the simple joys and true love of her village. Welcome to the Savannah Storytellers channel, where we give you the best African talks, love stories, folklore and more. Please like, share and subscribe to our channel. We appreciate your support. Now back to the story. There lived a girl named Zuri in the heart of a small village at the foot of Mount Kilimanjaro. Zuri was known throughout the village for her absolute beauty and grace. Her skin tone was beautiful and her color was like the rich mahogany. Her eyes sparkled like the night sky, her laughter was like music, a song for 1,000 birds. Zuri's eyes as the dove, beautifully gorgeous in her grace. Aside from her beauty that made her famous around the village stood her pride. A disdainful ego that made many people dislike her. She was beautiful and proud. Her inflated ego from a tender age came from being the only daughter of her parents. So she enjoyed pampering from her parents. Having been exalted by her family and the villagers expressing their admiration for her unrivaled beauty, they showered her with praises which made her think of herself as more important than other village girls. Swayed by those adorations, Zuri's ego inflated with disdainful pride. Although her mother Osha and father Juma were proud of their daughter Zuri, but were worried about her growing arrogance, which made some people despise her. As the day passes by, Zuri's pride grows stronger with time, ignoring the teachers of her parents. The annual festival had come, the sunny afternoon birth anticipation of the villagers waiting to gather at the ancient town to watch the festive activities, with everybody gathered to enjoy the village wrestler fight in honor of the king's maiden daughter. It was that time when everybody came together to celebrate the festive times in harmony regardless of status. In her heart that hot afternoon, Zuri stood right in front of the mirror admiring her newly braided hair. She had applied tribal patterns to her face and arms that made her look stunning and radiantly beautiful in her African grace. Her kanga cloth adorned with intricate patterns of blue and gold had her look like royalty. There came a knock at her door. "Zuri, are you ready? The festival is about to start," her best friend Nia queried. Zuri's reply came with confidence, proclaiming the pretty. Her self-adoration of how beautiful she was made her joyful. "Of course, I'm ready," she replied. "All eyes will be on me, for my beauty is out of the village." She magnified herself with pride. Shaking her head, Nia said, "The festival is not about you, Zuri. It's about celebrating our harvest and Thanksgiving, and of course to witness who will be the new royal-in-law." Nia told her, insisting. They hurried up to the town hall to get a better space to watch the festival. Zuri waved her hand dismissively. Yes, but you know that everyone is excited to see me. I am the jewel of this village," she prided herself with some much confidence. Nia, already accustomed to her friend Zuri, nodded in agreement, so they left early. She had known Zuri since their early days as children. She loved her like a sister because they grew together and both mothers were friends. The festival began with prayers and rites from the king and elders of his council. The chief priest had led them to the rites of the land. As custom demanded, jinn and spirits were offered to the gods of the land for peace and a bountiful harvest the people enjoyed all through the year. The people chanted in unity, "Amen," once the priest had prayed words of good tidings. Once the prayers were done, the festive dance began. Dancing in joy, the villagers sang on top of their voices, enjoying the moment like nothing else matters. Zuri took the center stage and danced in captivating ways. Her fluid movements displayed not just her beauty but fascinating dance moves. As predicted in her attempts to exalt herself, all eyes were on her, admiring both her beauty and dancing skills. After the sun faded, sliding behind the dark cloud, the villagers gathered around a bonfire to share stories and folklore. It was that time of the year to honor tradition, where pearls of wisdom and stories were told by the village griotte. Wisdom and lessons are passed through generations at nights like this. The village griot, Mzi Baraka, was ready to speak. A smallish old man with grey hair whose presence made the whole village go quiet. Known for his intriguing stories and words of wisdom, Mzi Baraka was again ready to tell the next story. Tonight, I will tell you the story of a young warrior named Kofi, whose pride led to his downfall, he had announced in the quiet town square. Everybody sat there eager to hear what the griot had to say. The silent town square was sat there watching him speak, feeling bored with Mzi's stories of old. Zuri whispered to Nia, "Why do we have to listen to these old tales? They are always the same, hush. The stories have great underlying meanings, and you should do yourself a favor and listen," Nia told her friend Zuri. Zuri rolled her eyes but stayed silent. As Mzi Baraka continued his story, Zuri's mind began to wander. She thought about how she would leave the village one day and find a place where her beauty and talents would be truly appreciated. She believed she was destined for greatness, far beyond the simple life of the village. The festival ended, and the villagers returned to their homes. That night, Zuri dreamt of a vast, golden palace where she was the queen, adored by all. She woke up with a sense of determination. She would leave the village and seek her fortune. An ambition birthed by her cravings for grandeur. Despite her parents' and Nia's pleas, Zuri left the village. She was confident that her charm and beauty would open doors for her. She journeyed for days, through forests and across rivers, until she reached the city of Umoja. Umoja was bustling with life. Merchants called out their wares, children played in the streets, and the aroma of exotic spices filled the air. Zuri felt a thrill of excitement in the new land she found herself in. This was where she belonged, she concluded with a smile on her face. She soon found a job at a local inn, where her beauty quickly caught the eye of many. Among them was a wealthy merchant named Jabari. He was captivated by Zuri and began courting her, showering her with gifts and attention. Zuri basked in the adoration, convinced that she was on the path to her destiny. Jabari, the cunning merchant who beneath his charming exterior lay a heart of greed and soul of deceit. He saw Zuri as a pawn, not as his partner she thought herself of. Promising a life of luxury and contentment, Jabari proposed to Zuri, who was blinded with pride and love for vanity. So she accepted his proposal without hesitation. They were married in a grand ceremony, and Zuri moved into Jabari's opulent mansion. For a while, she lived in bliss, enjoying the finest of clothes, jewels, and the admiration of others. But slowly, she began to notice changes in Jabari. He became distant and secretive, often leaving for long periods without explanation. One evening, Zuri overheard Jabari talking to one of his associates. She learned that he was involved in illegal trade, exploiting the poor and manipulating the markets for his gain. Her heart sank. She also overheard him say he married her so he could sell her off to the slave merchants. Aware that she had been so blinded by her pride and desire for a lavish life that she had ignored the true nature of the man she married, Zuri confronted Jabari, but he laughed in her face. "You were so easy to fool, Zuri. Your beauty and arrogance made you believe you were untouchable, but now you see the truth," he mocked her. Humiliated and heartbroken, Zuri decided to leave. She could not bear to stay with a man who had deceived her so cruelly. She packed her belongings and fled the mansion in the dead of night. Zuri wandered the streets, aimless and lost. Her pride had led her away from the love and safety of her village, and now she had nothing. She was too ashamed to return home, fearing the judgment of her family and friends. As days turned into weeks, Zuri's situation worsened. She had no money, and no shelter, and her health began to deteriorate. The once proud and beautiful girl was now a shadow of her former self. She realized too late that her pride had not only led her to ruin but had also cost her the love and support of those who truly cared for her. One cold night, as she lay on the streets, shivering and weak, she thought of her village, her family, and Nia. Tears streamed down her face as she whispered, "I'm sorry." Zuri's life faded away that night, her heart heavy with regret. Her pride had led her on a path of destruction, away from the simple joys and true love of her village. When news of her death reached the village, her parents were devastated. Nia wept for her lost friend, remembering the bright and beautiful girl she once knew. The villagers mourned Zuri's passing, a stark reminder of the dangers of pride and the importance of humility and gratitude. From that day on, Mzi Baraka would tell the story of Zuri at every harvest festival, teaching the children the value of humility and the perils of pride. And so, the legacy of the proud girl from the village at the foot of Mount Kilimanjaro lived on, a cautionary tale for generations to come. Pride can lead to one's downfall, and Zuri's story serves as a powerful reminder of the importance of humility and the dangers of vanity. If you like this story, please like this video and subscribe to our channel. We'd like to hear from you. Drop a comment on what you think about this story. See you next time.